More DCEU movies inbound. Or should they be?
Is this news?
Hey, Tony, what's up?
Not a lot, John. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. So the DCEU has had kind of a rocky, storied history. We've had pretty good movies like Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman. I mean, we've also had big stinkers like Suicide Squad. Justice League didn't turn out so well. Mustaches aside, we're just talking about, just the DCEU in general. There's still plenty of movies on the docket. Is anyone excited for these anymore?
Here's the thing. I still haven't even seen Justice League because I've lost my excitement for this franchise. And I am a huge geek. I love Batman. All right. I love Superman. I love Justice League. I'm a huge geek. I should be running to the theater to see these movies. And I've just been so disappointed lately. And when I look at the docket just coming up for this year, before we started the show, I was like, wait, is there even a DCEU movie this year? And there's just Aquaman in December. That's it. That's all we get this year. And am I excited for it? Not really, but I heard Jason Momoa was pretty awesome in Justice League, and Jason Momoa is pretty awesome in general. So I'm curious about it, but it's also meh. So we got Aquaman this year, and next year we've got Shazam in April and Wonder Woman 2 in November. Those are the movies that have actual official release dates. The movies that keep getting thrown around the DCU office, and I think they're just waiting for something to just stick to the wall, is we've got Flashpoint, Suicide Squad 2, The Batman, Batgirl, Green Lantern Corps, the untitled Joker Harley Quinn movie, Nightwing, the untitled Joker Origin Story, Justice League Dark, Gotham City Sirens, the Man of Steel sequel, a Deathstroke movie, a Black Adam movie, a Lobo movie, Cyborg, and just Cyborg, I guess. Which, I feel like we should probably get a Cyborg movie before we get any of those random ones. But that's just my little 2 cents there. John, what do you think about the DCEU lineup?
Well, before we go there, I want to say I think the Nolan series kind of hit a perfect storm. It came out exactly when it needed to. The original Batman series was kind of, falling off, or it definitely actually completely exploded, where it had 2 strong showings in the early 90s, and then we got to what Schumacher did and just kind of made a farce of its own IP.
4 million. 7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
But then, Nolan came in and kind of cleaned it all up, and those transcended superhero movies completely, and they became almost masterpieces. Now, following up, we got Ben Affleck as Batman. Everyone's just like, oh, give it some time, it's okay. Well, I've seen some movies with him in the Batsuit, and I'm still just not very excited about anything that's attached to that. I was someone that was extremely excited about Suicide Squad, even through all the crazy trailers. And what we got was nothing short of a Hot Topic commercial. It was just bad. When you have your antagonist being just kind of a jiggly chick, dancing around, she might as well have had a damn hula hoop. It was just bad decision making all around. And especially, you ask if I'm excited about the future of this franchise. I can't say I am, just because they don't even know what they want to do. With the Joker movies, you mentioned a Suicide Squad 2, and then a Joker and Harley Quinn. You have to assume that that's going to be Jared Leto's Joker again. But then they're also announcing that a Joker origin story with Joaquin Phoenix is in the work. So when you're this schizophrenic with your own franchise, as a fan, I can't be excited at all.
Things that do excite me, and I'll flip the script a little bit. I first off, I won't blame Ben Affleck for anything. I think Ben Affleck's pretty awesome as Batman. I just think the writing around everything that he's doing is garbage. His performance as Bruce Wayne, I think, is totally fine. It's just he's supposed to be the greatest detective in the world, and he's the only person who doesn't know who Superman is in Batman v Superman. But that's not his fault. That's just the writing. And I'll blame Zack Snyder. I think his direction over the whole of, being the head guy here for the franchise has just been kind of garbage too. But things that excite me in this lineup, I just rambled off, that actually do intrigue me. The first one being Flashpoint, and I feel like they could have titled the movie The Flash. It's a Flash movie, but it's called Flashpoint. And if you're familiar with comic books and you know what Flashpoint is the big giant reset button that they have. They can pull whenever they want and do it multiple times and whenever they feel like it. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're just going to go, hey, we're starting over fresh. Then they can recast Batman if they so choose. They can recast anybody. They can create, they can redo the Justice League movies. They can do whatever they want, because in that story arc, the Flash goes back in time and accidentally changes everything. I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for the Batman movie. Okay, I'm excited for the Batman movie because Matt Reeves is directing, and Matt Reeves is amazing. Also, the rumors keep flying around that Ben Affleck won't be attached to the project. I think that Ben Affleck being Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, could be something cool, but with him not attached to the project, I think that puts a better taste in everybody's mouth going forward. And I understand that. But the rumor on that one is Jake Gyllenhaal might be Batman, which just I think is a weird choice, but not a bad choice, because he's an amazing actor, but I just never really saw him as Batman. So that one excites me. And then the Origin Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, I think sounds really awesome and intriguing. And what they've been saying here recently, as far as the DCEU is concerned, is that the DCEU itself is kind of no more. There will be movies that take place within the expanded universe they've created, but then there will be movies that take place outside of it. And the Joker origin story is definitely one of those movies, and possibly the Batman itself might be one of those movies as well, where they're just comic book movies and they're not attached to a greater universe, similar to that of the Nolan franchise, because they're just going back to their roots of what was successful, what did we do right, and that's it. Just make good movies. Don't worry about building a giant world. Just make good movies.
It just makes me think about, it's like, did we get fooled? Was Wonder Woman as good as everyone thought it was? Or was it just because it was comparatively better than Suicide Squad and some of these other messes that came out? I don't know. To me, it just seems like the defunct Universal, monster universe, the dark universe that we had, The Mummy came out and those other movies, and that just completely shut down and went in the toilet. It seems like something like that is already happened to the DCEU, and where I just can't get excited for movies like Aquaman, because you said, down the road, yeah, they're gonna kind of go away from this, and they have a built-in reset button with Flashpoint. But that's not the best way to sell people to go see your movies now. It's like, yeah, Aquaman, it might stink, or Wonder Woman 2 or Suicide Squad 2. You might like him, you might not, but don't worry, because we always got Flashpoint. So if you don't like these guys, we'll kick them right out. So to me, it just doesn't seem like it has a great foundation. It never did from the start. And in my opinion, they should kind of shut it down sooner than later, so people could kind of move on into whatever the next phase is. Now, I know that Aquaman's already made, and from what I saw, Jason Momoa did a fine job with him. It was a nice direction that they went with that character, because that character could get really silly, and I liked the way Jason Momoa portrayed it. But with the rest of the franchise, before you completely soil some of these great names, especially the DC Rogues Gallery is the best villains in comic books. They are precious things that you don't want to just waste, and you don't want to waste people's time with. You don't want your entire comic book company to become the next Fantastic Four franchise.
Ooh, that's pretty harsh. I don't disagree with you. I'm not excited for anything that really comes out for the DCU until they make a big change. I think that they should just pull the plug now. I mean, there's no pulling the plug, though. It's just reboot. If it doesn't work, they'll reboot it. And if that doesn't work, they'll reboot it again. There's too much money involved, too much money to make. It doesn't matter if the franchises suck, because every time they release a Batman movie, it's going to make a ton of money. Every time they release a Justice League movie, it'll make a ton of money. So there's no stopping it. And they'll just keep rebooting it over and over and over. And you asked the question, is Wonder Woman as good as what people think it is, or is it just the best movie in the DCEU? And I'm a person who maybe leans a little bit more towards the latter. I wasn't I liked the movie. It's just I think it was a little overhyped, and I think that it really falls apart in the end. But I think what the movie does really well is it gives us a different perspective at a superhero movie, and a perspective that was really fresh and necessarily needed. So similar to that of Black Panther, where it's just a completely different perspective on the genre.
Here's my last question then. Should they take, after they blow up the world with Flashpoint, because inevitably, they are going to, should they still kind of take bits and pieces, the things that work? Say Aquaman does, amazing. Gal Gadot was way better received than anyone thought she would be as Wonder Woman. Do you think that they could do that, kind of cherry pick the things that worked and move on with the new direction?
I think they can definitely do that. I think that Flashpoint allows for that to happen. I think just the base of the story, if you've ever read it or watched the animated Flashpoint movie, because it's amazing. It's pretty much what they do in that storyline is it has enough wiggle room where you can kind of recast somebody if you wanted to and explain it off that way, or you can kill off characters or anything. But no, they're definitely keeping Gal Gadot. They're definitely going to keep Momoa as Aquaman. I think they'll keep what's his name, Ezra Miller as Flash. I think they'll keep these main characters, but I think everybody else, they might start wiping people out, rewriting some origins, making the whole franchise just a little bit more fun, I think is what's desperately needed. But I also think that doing Flashpoint in one movie is going to be a big mess. I really don't see it being successful. I mean, it'll get its point across, but that story is such a comic book story that you similar to that of an Infinity War situation, that you need the 10 years leading up to it to make it make sense. Flashpoint is such a giant thing. They tried to do it on the Flash TV series, and it was pointless and kind of didn't really work that well, in my opinion. I think that this is something that definitely you need the entire Justice League involved in for the story to be fun and interesting and cool. And I think that with what they've set up so far, that if they try to pull it off, it's just going to be a big mess. But they'll get their message across, and then whatever movie after that, they can go post Flashpoint. Here we go. Let's reboot this whole thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Should we hit the reset button sooner rather than later? Or should we ride this thing out for just a little while longer? Whatever you think, comment in the section below. Tell Tony and I your thoughts on the DCEU and its future. Please subscribe to They Said, We Said, and Rad Entertainment.
See you guys next time on Is This News?